This video series is brought to you by ignorance, making not knowing what you don't know virtuous and exciting. Me and my videographer Cole, who's behind the camera, are flying up to Alaska to pick up a 10-year-old car that I've always dreamed of. In fact, I tried to buy it once before and then drive it back here to Colorado over the next 5 days. Hey, made it to Clyde's house, and Clyde is a nice gentleman who is selling me the i8. I just spilled the beans. i8, Clyde, thank you very much for giving me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I really appreciate it.
Welcome to Alaska.
Thank you. It's great to be in Alaska. So, TFL's new i8. All right. Well, Lowe's ended up being good for us. $147 later, we got a $20 bottle for gas can. We got an $80 toolkit, a jack, and of course, our wheel iron. So I think now with the Fix-A-Flat and the i8 wheel, we should be ready to hit the road tomorrow. And the adventure begins in earnest tomorrow. I think we'll be the only i8. I think it's safe to assume driving the Alaskan. So guys, join us again next time when this i8 adventure continues. We'll see you tomorrow. Tired to. Ciao. Welcome to Wasilla, Alaska. And if you've been following the series, you know that the other day I flew up here with my videographer Cole and bought a 2014 BMW i8, which we are going to drive over 3,000 miles back to Colorado. Now, today is going to be a relatively easy stretch. We're starting here in Wasilla and we're driving to Whitehorse, Canada. So there's a couple stress points. First and foremost, we're going to have to cross the border with the car that we just bought. So hopefully that won't cause any issues. I hope I've got my I's dotted and my T's crossed with the paperwork. But before we do that, let's talk about this, the car that I bought, which, well, is rather unique. One could call it one of the first OG plug-in hybrids. And as you can tell, it's been charging all night, so I should have close to 20 miles of electric range. But you know what? Let's just jump in the car and get it out of here, and I'll give you a quick walk around. I'll show you what I bought, tell you how much I paid for it, and then we'll do a quick review before we hit the road to Canada. Okay, this is the tricky part. Now, the first time, that's gonna get old, I saw the BMW i8 was at the Frankfurt airport. That must have been about 2013. And this was basically BMW's moonshot. It had, at that time, technology that was out of this world. First and foremost, I mean, look at it, look at the styling. This is a concept car brought to life. It's, I think, one of the most stunning cars ever designed. And most importantly, if you're a fan of Silicon Valley, it's got doors that go like this, as you can tell, which makes it faster. And actually, that's the problem with this car. It kind of writes a check that it can't cash. And I'll tell you why that is in a second. So let's talk about the powertrain. There are actually two electric motors. There's one up front here, which powers the front wheels. And when you're in all electric mode, it's basically a front wheel drive car. In the middle, you've got a 7.1 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for, in this case, 16 miles of range. Then you have another small electric motor over here, and then back here, I can't show it to you because the motor is hidden. It's basically a 3-cylinder engine out of the Mini. Combined, The electric motor in the front, the little tiny mini motor, and the 3-cylinder turbo right here produces 369 horsepower. And that's really the problem. When you look at this car, it looks like it should maybe have a 12-cylinder power plant under the hood that, you know, propels it from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Not really. The two engines combined get you about a 4.4 second 0 to 60 time. And quite frankly, for how much this cost back in 2014, which was about $125,000, that just wasn't fast enough. All right, so we already got our first problem. It says minimum gas requirement is 91 octane. And if you look on the pump, apparently in Alaska, or at least at this station, 90. Cole, you think that's trouble? I think it's okay. Just means it'll probably knock a little bit more at worst, lose a little bit of horsepower. So yeah, Clyde, who we bought the car from, was kind enough to remove card. Was kind enough to actually fill up the car, but we're going to fill it up even more so that we have a complete tank. And then we'll fill up our little 1 gallon of extra fuel. $4 a gallon. Not bad. I was worried it was going to be much more like California prices, but $4 a gallon is okay. Oh God, they make these more and more complicated. Now there's a little filter in there. Let's see if I can even fill it up. Yeah, that works. So this is our emergency gas. Yeah, great. Now I smell like gas. Luckily, gas just evaporates. All right, our first catastrophe. Hope it's our last. Oh my. Okay, we have our emergency gas. And some of it's on my pants. Just have to wring it out. We're really in trouble. Cole, it's gonna smell like gas in the car. Just be prepared. Yeah, it's gonna smell a little bit like gas. Cole, hopefully you're not a smoker. Because may I ask that you refrain from smoking while in the cabin of the BMW over the next 3,000 miles, please. You know how they say that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step? Well, this journey has started with a very gassy smell in here. And I'm not sure if it's my pants or that gas can or both. But I'm hoping that's the worst thing that happens to us over the next 3,300 miles. So far we've done a total of 57.3 miles going from Anchorage to Wasilla. So now the journey really begins. And you know, there's this kind of sense of excitement and possibility as you start a journey. And it's one of the best feelings in the world. And that's why I love road tripping so much, because ahead of you, just you, the car, and the road, and adventure and new things and endless possibilities. Also, fatigue and wildlife and hopefully nice people. And I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of people going up the Alcan, heading up here to Alaska, whereas we'll be one of the few cars going down the Alcan. So I can't tell you how excited I am to begin. And of course, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a red light. But let the adventure begin as soon as we get through the red light, of course. And out of civilization, we've got a full tank of gas, a whole 6 miles of electric range, and the open road ahead. All right, well, we've hit upon a little interesting quagmire. So you can tell I've got 351 miles of range in comfort mode. I'm going to switch it to Eco Pro mode and see just how much range I gain. Yeah, 351 miles. Back to comfort, 350. So 1 mile of range between the Eco and the Eco Pro, between the Comfort and the Eco Pro. The other problem is that, yeah, it smells like gas in here. I mean, like a lot of gas, because these gas canisters never actually are airtight. So I think we're gonna wing it, and when we use another gallon or so, we're gonna pour that into the gas tank, and then just go by what the milepost says. That's the book that is the Bible of the Alaskan Highway, and that is every time we get to half a tank and see a gas station, fill it up, and hopefully we don't have to drive 3,000 miles reeking of gasoline and feeling like we're working at an oil refinery in a car that normally smells very nice. Well, it only took 83.9 miles before we hit our first road construction. And you know, the milepost says that this is the mosquito season in Alaska and on the Alaskan, and of course construction season, and yeah, not wrong. So we have to wait for a flag car, and hopefully we won't get any punctures on this stretch of highway. I googled how much ground clearance we have, and it's 177 millimeters. And for those of you who live in North America, that translates to like 6.97 inches of ground clearance, which isn't horrible, you know. I thought it'd be worse than that. And we have all-wheel drive, and you know, we have a gallon of gas. It smells horrible, but you know, it could be worse. Could be worse. And this thing, because of the long wheelbase, actually has a remarkably supple ride. So all that is good. I just worry about our tires, because look, we're going to do a little bit of off-roading here. Look at this. Look where this guy's going now. Look at that. Yeah, the Germans didn't design it for this, did you, BMW? Oh no. The cement truck is actually pulling ahead of us, because we're doing an entire 20 miles an hour right now. Hey, Cole, you know what? Could be worse. Could be snowing. So it kind of looks like a supercar, but it kind of drives like a long distance GT car. And that's great, because we're about to take this on the Alaskan Highway, which was built in 1942 to connect the continuous 48 states with Alaska. And back then it was almost 3,000 miles long, and it was all dirt. But since then they've shortened it and they've paved it, so right now it's about 1,400 miles. But when you go on the Alaskan Highway, they still say chances of getting a flat tire are really good, and you should bring along extra food and water just in case you get stuck between gas stations. And so that kind of made for a tricky situation with this car, because BMW, I'll show you coming over here, didn't actually give you a spare tire or run flats. What they did give you is hiding right here, and that's a little tire inflator kit. I don't want to take it out, which, you know, if you blow a sidewall, is not going to do much. So before we flew up here, we actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out a good solution. And the issue with this car is there's just no storage space. There's a little bit back there, and then there's, you know, little tiny seats in the back. And so our solution was to find a tire from a BMW i3, and these tires have the same bolt pattern as this one. Of course, the wheels are much narrower, but it can work, I'm hoping, as a kind of a donut spare in case we get a flat. We also went and got, I'll show you, a jack so that we could jack it up. We got some fix-a-flat in case we just get a nail or something in the tire, because you can drive on that. And then we got a tool kit over here yesterday, and then we got a jerry can in case we run out of electrons and dead dinosaurs for this entire trip. Now let's talk about the car some more. So back in 2014, they sold the most of these, because if you guys know anything about the way cars are usually sold, is the first year of production, there's always the highest number sold because there's the greatest interest. And this is a 2015 model. It has 33,000 miles, and in total BMW sold about just over 20,000 of these In 2018, they kind of facelifted it, they gave it a little bit bigger battery, and they built a convertible version of it. And out of that 20,000 production run, about 3,000 were convertibles. Now those convertibles were even more expensive. They were like 150,000. And basically, BMW kind of did this to compete against the Porsche 911, because when you look at it, it's got a very similar layout in terms of its usage. So big front seats, tiny rear seats, high price tag. And it's funny because it wasn't until this year that Porsche actually built a hybrid 911. And when you think about the fact that BMW did it back in 2014, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, there are a lot of bugs up here in Alaska. So we've got about 300 miles, and so far we have seen 0 bears, 0 moose, 0 deer, 0 wolves. In fact, the only animal we've seen is apparently a state animal of Alaska, and that is mosquitoes. Lots of those here, but our very first public toilet. So yeah, 300 miles into it, and we get to go and experience Alaska's best public bathrooms. But so far so good. Looks like it's going to rain. It always feels like it's going to snow up here for some reason. Cole, why don't you turn around and show them? Yeah, I think that's snow, but my God, the scenery is spectacular. I mean, these rugged mountains everywhere, a lot of people in motorhomes pulling Jeeps. But yeah, just such a crazy place to be. I should probably go use the bathroom. And hopefully in the next hour, we're going to stop for lunch in Tok. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that is the start of the Alaskan Highway. Woohoo! Yeah, so there's a nice little path that runs along the road here. This is the first bit of dead straight road we've hit. We're 5 miles from, actually 4 miles now, from the Alaskan Highway. And last time I was here, we were driving a Jeep to 50 highest points in all 50 states. I thought to myself, what a great little path to go for a run, because I like running. I know I don't look like it, but I do. And so I went for a run down this little road, and then I came back to the hotel, and they were like, where'd you go? And I said, I went for a little run. And they said, you shouldn't have done that. And I was like, why not? It's terrific. And they said, bears. And I said, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. But that's my last experience, and that means we're like an hour and a half maybe outside of the Canadian border, and so now I'm starting to get nervous. I'm hoping that it all goes well with our documentation, because we are driving on temp plates, but I figure better than driving on somebody else's plates. So yeah, we'll see. I think we're going to stop, get some lunch. What's the place you like, Cole?
Fast Eddie's.
Fast Eddie's. If it's still here, we'll get some lunch at Fast Eddie's. And then an hour and a half later, we should be crossing into Canada. Okay, can't wait to get there, guys. Love Canada. All right, let's go get some food, Cole. So we made it to Tok, and that's how you pronounce it. I asked the staff here, and we're at Fast Eddie's, which is one of the few restaurants in Tok. But this is my third time in Alaska, and I've been lucky enough to come up here and drive electric vehicles, and this time a hybrid. But the reason I keep coming back to Alaska is because it's one of the few places where you can still have a real adventure. And what I mean by that is, it's not as manicured, it's not as controlled. You kind of make your own rules in some ways. And that's really wonderful. And I'm so happy that, Alaska exists, where you can go and have a $70 meal at a basic restaurant for retirees, but at the same time, you could go out there and you could make your own way without all of the regulations and people looking over your shoulder that you see so much in the lower 48. Now, before this gets political, I'm just saying I love the outdoors. I love the fact that, 10 minutes from now, we're going to be in the middle of nowhere again. And I love the fact that you guys are joining me on this trip. And I love the fact that I can do it because you guys are joining me on this trip. So if you're familiar with, this BMW Shifter, it's pretty standard. So we've got start-stop button. eDrive. When you hit eDrive, it puts it in all electric. And then you have comfort mode, which basically gets you using all of the power to the air conditioner and to the engine, and just makes it good for everyday driving. And if you want to try to go farther, there's the ePro mode, which kind of tones down the air conditioner and some of the heaters to extend the range. Now, we do have the larger fuel tank on this car, which is a great option. So I think it's got about 11 gallons of gas. I got it for $50,000, but then he was gonna send it down to Seattle where I could pick it up. But then I had this idea, you know, I've always wanted to drive my dream car on my dream road, which I've never done. That's the Alaskan Highway. So I thought, you know what, Clive, I'll just come and pick it up here in beautiful Alaska. And then I said, since you don't have to ship it, can you lower the price? So eventually we got it for $49,000, which I think is a fair price for this car. That's kind of what they're going for. If you remember, I tried to buy this previously. We can maybe cut to that video. And basically what we're doing is trying to buy a BMW i8 from a company called Vroom.com, which is one of these new car buying services where you buy the car online and then they deliver it to you. So anyway, I put down the deposit. They said, congratulations, you've got the car. And I was excited, you know, I mean, it was super easy. So I get an email from them saying, now the next thing you need to do is obviously pay for the car, right? And in most situations, Tommy, when you go to a dealership or buy a private car, the way that it works is you give them a check or cash and they give you the car. The problem is I gave Vroom a very large check because that car ended up costing just over $63,000 and I don't have the car. And they have lost a check. Friday, they actually found my check. So basically 9 days after I had sent them the check, keep in mind there was a snowstorm, they found the check and they said, do you still want to do the transaction? Finally, almost a week after they sent the check overnight, it shows up at our offices on Thursday. I took it to the bank and deposited it and got my money back. All right, so we've gone 341 miles and we're averaging 36.2 mpg, which is really good for a car that's capable of going 155 miles an hour on the Autobahn. But Cole and I are going to fly without a co-pilot. In other words, we've decided that the smell in this car of gasoline is probably more dangerous to our health than running out of gasoline on the Alaskan Highway. So we're going to take that gas, which is right back here because there's no other place to put it, and dump it in the car. And hopefully do that rule where when we get down to a half a tank, we'll just fill it up, and hopefully, it being summer, we should be able to make it without running out of gas. Because Cole, I can't take the smell anymore. Can you? He's shaking his head. Yeah, it's it smells like an oil field in here, and that can't be good for you. All right, let's see if we can even figure out how this thing works. This is so complicated. What do you think, Cole? Like that? There's nothing going in. Now we go. It's barely pouring. It's poured it all outside the car. Whoever designed, you know, the more safe they make it, the less safe it becomes. Yeah, check this out. So there's a little like cap in there, which I suppose is meant to prevent gas theft. And the problem is when you put this in there, you can't get it tilted enough to actually get more than like a third of a gallon out. So this thing would be impossible anyway. So maybe I could give it to somebody. Hold on, I see a guy over here. Maybe he wants it. Let me walk over here. You want some gas? I can't use this thing. It won't work in the car.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Just set it in the back?
Yeah, you're welcome to take it.
Thank you.
Hey, beautiful dog. What's your dog's name?
Turbot.
Hey, you're a good boy. Girl or boy?
Boy.
You're a good boy, aren't you? Thanks. I didn't want to throw it away.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet it. There you go. All right, you got about a 3/4 gallon there.
Cool.
All right, got rid of it. And you know what that means, Cole? It means the car is a gallon lighter. A gallon weighs like 800 pounds. You know that. So, yeah, we're going to get better fuel economy by actually not having gas on this trip. Uh-oh, service due in 10,000 miles. I think we're okay. You smell that, Cole? You smell anything? He's shaking his head no. Exactly right, because that is the smell of no gasoline in the car. It's going to make this trip much more pleasant. All right, we're getting close to the Canadian border. We've gone 427 miles since we left Anchorage. And Cole and I were debating whether we should roll a camera as we go through the border. But then I thought to myself, they might not appreciate that. And we may end up getting a cavity search for any hidden weapons. Not that we have any hidden weapons, but So we'll probably just shut the camera off. And then if all goes well, we'll turn the camera back on when we're in Canada and celebrate our first crossing of this journey. Because Cole, are you up for a cavity search? He's not, but neither am I. So let's just drive through the border without any cameras rolling. I think that's the plan. Yes. Victory. We are now in kilometers, with the speed limit being 90 and us doing 61. All right, thank you, BMW. Now let's hope that the Canadians are as friendly at the border as this car is to switch from miles to kilometers. And I actually like kilometers better because it feels like you're going faster, even though you're not. Woohoo! We made it to Canada. A couple of questions, a couple honest answers, and here we are. Let's keep the Yukon clean. We intend to do that. I don't think we'll keep the car clean, but we'll keep... Oh, I just killed my first Canadian mosquito. Murderer. Mosquito murderer. There we go. All right. So the border guard said it's 5 more hours down to Whitehorse. It's 4:24. The good news is it stays light till about 11. So we're going to lose an hour, so 5:24. So we should be down to the hotel, I don't know, maybe 10 o'clock tonight. We've been driving for over 12 hours now, and it's bright, like it's in the middle of the day. But in fact, it's 8:24. And we still have another 3 hours to go before we get to our hotel in Whitehorse. So finding the road has gotten much better. We're doing 90 kilometer-ish and really enjoying the drive because the last 4 or 5 hours we've been dodging gravel and potholes. But so far we've seen 0 bears, 0 porcupine, 0 deer, 0 wolves, 0 elk, 0 moose, but maybe 4 gas stations. So there you have it. All right, well, welcome to Whitehorse. And this is a pretty rough town. It's what is today, Cole? Wednesday night? And a lot of drunk people around. And it looks like it's maybe 8 o'clock at night, but it's actually 11 o'clock. And we've been driving for 15 hours now, so we're both pretty tired. Got about 750 miles down the Alaskan Highway, and car's been flawless, but it's a rough ride, especially when I had to avoid potholes. Cole had to avoid gravel. We both had to avoid hitting all those animals that we saw, but we did see finally an animal on our list, and that is a rabbit. That's right, we saw a rabbit by the side of the road. So Not exactly what I was expecting, at least in terms of wildlife on the Alcan, but to be continued. See you tomorrow. We gotta get to bed. Ciao. All right, well, getting gas here is always an adventure on the Alaskan Highway. Look, you did not see that I was doing 150 km. Do you want to know what happens next in our epic Alaskan Highway journey? Well, if you're a Patreon, then all you have to do is watch it right now. And if you're not, you can become a Patreon by clicking on the link below, and you can see the next episode right away and not have to wait until next weekend to find out what happened with me, Cole, who's behind the camera, and this i8.